Welcome, Athens. How are you doing? This is Mayor Kelly Girtz. Hope you've been well. I'm coming to you here on August 5th, 2021. And I've been thinking lately about my Uncle Casey, who passed away last year. He and my Aunt Shelley, my dad's little sister, were always family members who I was really close to. I've got a really big family, 15 siblings in my parents' family together, more cousins than I can count on my fingers and toes. And I think, like in every big family, there are people who you just feel a kinship with. And in my family, it was Casey and Shelley. And before Casey passed away last year, he and Shelley would go on these long motorcycle trips from their home in St. Paul, Minnesota, all over the country. And I would think it was a particularly cool year if it was a year when their motorcycle trip took them to the Southeast, and I got to spend some time with them. And I know they had some rough times on the road, and one of the things I learned from them about their time on the road is that sometimes they'd have to pivot based on the circumstances. So they may get a sudden downpour and have to shelter under a highway overpass. They may get a whole day of really bad weather and have to unexpectedly find a hotel room. That pivoting that they had to experience is part of what we're in right now, friends. We're having our masks on again because we're having to pivot into this more challenging period of the COVID pandemic, given the Delta variant and our underattained vaccination rates. So really, in about 3 weeks' time, we've had 10 times the 2-week average of cases as we did 3 weeks ago. So we gotta be conscious about that because the circumstances have changed. And this variant, as we know, can have some breakthrough cases. Not common, but it can happen. But if you get one of these breakthrough cases after you've been vaccinated, it means you can pass that along to somebody else unwittingly. And so I don't want to pass the virus on to somebody unwittingly, even if I don't feel many or any symptoms. And so we're going to have to be more careful now for this period in the days and weeks ahead until this subsides or until we get more vaccinations going. So from a policy perspective here in Athens-Clarke County, it means that starting today there's an indoor mask mandate again, and that's tied to the CDC's high spread metric, which is if we have more than 100 cases in 7 days per 100,000 persons in the population. If we go below that, fortunately we won't have to mask. Similarly, if we go above 80% community vaccination, we won't have to mask any longer. So I hope both of those things become true because I want us all to be protected and in turn to protect each other. And so I don't like wearing this. I enjoy seeing you and you seeing me human to human, and this covers some of that up. But it's a managed risk that we're going to have to deal with here in the foreseeable future. In addition to the mask mandate that began again today, we're going to be requiring that all of our employees become protected in the months after the FDA gives final approval to vaccine. So County Manager Blaine Williams is going to be coming up with a policy regarding that. And so if you're an employee of Athens-Clarke County, that will ramp in the coming months. That's not a drop-dead immediate thing, but know to be looking out for that. Also, I want to mention that hopefully within the next week, we will be announcing a partnership with the Northeast Georgia Health District in which we're going to be incentivizing greater vaccination. We know a couple things. We know that the greatest age band of hospitalizations in the country right now is among people 25 to 34. And we also know that lowest vaccination rates are among people 30 and under. And so we want to get every young person in particular vaccinated because you're moving around the community more, you're very mobile, And so we don't want you impacted, and we don't want you to unwittingly or unknowingly impact somebody else in a negative way. So this is a tough thing, but it's a thing we're doing to take care of each other. I want to pivot a little bit and talk about a decision that the Athens-Clarke County Commission and I made last night also regarding another response to changing circumstances, and that is in effectively supporting our unsheltered or homeless population here in Athens. We historically have had many dozens of unsheltered people among typically a couple of hundred people who are technically homeless because they don't have a fixed residence, a fixed place to sleep night to night. We're now over 150 people who are living outdoors. And this is a challenge that the entire nation is facing. Every city, every urban center is facing this. And so the biggest thing we did last night is commit to a strategic plan where we look at all of the focused case management work that we need to do and the long-term supportive housing needs of our unsheltered community. But in conjunction with that, as part of the strategic plan, ensuring that we have a place where unsheltered people can legally shelter without constant migration from private property to public park to street corner. And so we designated a disused school on North Barber Street as a place where our unsheltered people will be able to have a way station, because we don't see this as anything like a final solution, and I don't want anyone to have the impression that it's anything like a final solution. This will be a transition point from which people can get closer to the services that will positively impact them and not have to be displaced again and again and again in the interim, as we've seen throughout recent months. I get phone calls from many of you, from private property owners, and people concerned about our public parks and our public rights of way. So we believe we're going to do, in conjunction with community partners who are going to be managing this facility, our nonprofit community who are expert in this area, the best job of any American city in reducing our homeless population. And this is but one tool in a full toolbox for that. I'm going to be coming to you in a special community conversation later this month where I sit down with some of our homeless service providers and experts in this area, and we talk in a little more detail about how we're going to reduce our homeless population. So be looking forward to that. And once again, please mask up if you're in any indoor space in Athens-Clarke County. Get your vaccine if you have not. I'm about 4 months into double vaccination. Went by quickly. I feel great now, and it's good knowing that I'm protecting my family and my loved ones and my neighbors, and I want you to be in that same boat. So I'm thinking of you, wishing you the very best, and I'll be coming to you soon.